Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So what do we got? What do we got here? What do we got to fucking fix today? I'm just a plumber now, here to fix the fucking world. I just rock up with me tool bag, give the pipes a little jiggle, and make the world a better place. No, I went to do my first COVID-19 test today. I didn't even want to do it, to be honest with you. I don't think I needed to do it. I don't think anyone was going to come knocking on my door. One of the rules they put in place after you crossed the border was you needed to go get a COVID-19 test. But no one even looked at our papers. No one took down any names. They didn't even look at how many people were in my car. They just fucking waved us through. But they said you have to get the COVID-19 test and isolate until you get the result back. And I was like, can we just fucking lie? Can we just say we did the fucking test? Everything else seems to be bullshit. Why not throw a little bit of bullshit back the other direction? And most people are so fucking scared at the moment, they'll just do what they're told. I swear to God, I think that's what's happened. They've worked out that if you get the population scared enough, all you need to do is throw out a few news stories into the media, and at least 80% of those people will follow that. And then they don't really give a fuck about the other 20% because they're not using any resources to take care of the 80%. The 80% is the vast majority. You know what I mean? Like they said, if you cross the border, you've got to get a COVID-19 test and you've got to self-isolate. And then they hammered that into the news with a couple of extra stories about people getting busted, big fines, people getting turned away at the border. And then once they've released it in the media, it spreads through the population. People start text messaging each other. It gets on social media. It's spread. Everyone starts panicking. The fear builds. And people generally don't want to get in trouble, so they just comply to whatever the fuck is said. And I would say the number of people that are complying at the moment is about 80%. So all they've done to control about 80% of the population is make a media statement and throw out a couple of fear stories. That's it. That's almost zero resources to control 80% of the population. And then maybe what they do is they randomly check like 500 to 1,000 people, see if they're self-isolating and have had the COVID test, and maybe they catch 10. Then they put that in the news also, and those 1,000 people that got randomly checked, they tell their friends, and that randomly spreads. So that will probably capture another maybe 5% of the population. So now you're down to like 15%, and you're really not going to control the 15% anyway. They're the renegades that aren't going to listen to shit. And the amount of resources you're going to have to fucking push in to control those 15% are not really worth it. So they sort of just ignore them. And why would you even bother with that last 15% either? You've already got the 85%. You've got the masses. It's just not worth it to go after that last 15%. You would have to pour all your resources into just getting that last 15%. And then you've completely negated the advantage you got from getting the fucking 85% to do what you want, basically for free. Yes, COVID is real and whatever. People are getting it, people get sick, all that sort of shit. But there is still definitely an element of psychological warfare going on. And to fight the war, all you really need to know is they can't control 100% of the population. They know that, so they don't even try. So all they try and do is control like 80 to 85%, I would say. I'm not too sure if these numbers are accurate. I just made them up now. But heading into the future, if you want to live with any form of freedom, you're just going to have to do exactly the opposite to what the masses are doing. That has always been the case, but it's even more relevant now. Just remember, they're not coming after you. They're very, very fucking happy with the 85% they can already control with fucking very, very few resources. It's going to be the exact same thing with the vaccine. Like they want 100% of the population vaccinated, but they know that's not possible. So they'll aim for about 80%. So what they'll do is, which they've already started doing, they'll pretend there's shortages. All the first responders and that are getting vaccinated first. So people are like, oh, well, let's do it. Plus the population is already fucking in a state of complete fucking terror. So a lot of people are just going to want it anyway. And then there'll be all the social pressure where people are treated like a pariah because they don't want to fucking take the vaccine. You know what they do. Everyone knows what they do. And once that's all done, about 80% of the population will want the vaccine without any fucking arm twisting. And then the other 20%, they're too much hassle anyway. Even if you fucking made it mandatory, you wouldn't be able to get 100%. There would still be like 10% wild fucking animals that if you tried to vaccinate them, they'd bite the doctor's hand. Shit like that. It's not worth it, so they will just be happy with 80% compliancy. That's all they're after. And if you're in the 20%, don't worry. They don't give a fuck about you. If they come after you, it's a fucking accident. You got unlucky. Having said that, I got my COVID-19 test today. And that's 99% because I want to get my kid back into childcare ASAP. We actually went to get it done yesterday, but the line was like 3-4 hours long or whatever the fuck it was. So we went back this morning, no line, just drive straight up. They jam some shit in your nose, down your throat, bada bing, bada boom. They now have Boyle DNA on record. They can fucking clone me and start a new podcast. Anyway, that's it for me tonight. I hope that made fucking sense. But the overriding message of tonight was don't live in fear. That's all I'm saying. It's fucking injurious to your health. And that's it for me tonight. I'll see you the fuck later.